Howdy folks, Keywii here, and welcome back to Doki Literature Club Plus, the safe space which be awesome, where we are just taking a look at these side stories, right? We're on Reflection Part 2, and then, we're going to do Self-Love and Self-Love Part 2. Then we'll be done. That'll be it. That'll be it for the new content. Which is a real shame, because I really like this game. But, we're going to get back into it, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to enjoy it. Let's jump right in. A new day arrives. Sayori arrives at the club room earlier than usual. That is, not late. As she enters, it appears to be empty still. So she sits down at a desk and pulls out a sheet of paper, primed to jot down her thoughts. Sayori's made a habit of scribbling her thoughts and feelings onto paper whenever possible, as it tends to serve as the best inspiration for poetry. My heart feels vacant because of a ship sailed away. Yeah. Natsuki. Natsuki pokes her head from behind the closet door. Haha, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. But it would have been a lot more awkward if I didn't say anything. I thought you wanted me listening in on your poetry thing. Yeah. Thanks for realizing that. That would have been really awkward. Should I let you finish that up then? Oh no, it wasn't. I just do it whenever it's convenient. You're not interrupting. Where's Monica, by the way? Oh, she's out in the hallway. Huh? Why? Well, just in case she runs into Yuri. Sometimes Yuri's just too nervous to come into the club room by herself, so... Oh. Jeez, does Yuri really let things bother her that much? For that long? She can't control her feelings. For some people, it's really hard to cope with, when you get a bad thought in your head. Maybe you can distract yourself for a little while. But as soon as it's just you and your thoughts again, it comes back. Yeah. Nah. I just want us to have a normal club meeting. It's a lot easier to pretend like it never happened if we all just ignore it and move on. Nah, not really. For some people, sure, but that's not the norm. I don't want to be bothered by this. It's so stupid. Their opinion of me doesn't matter anyway. Besides, it makes me feel really guilty, and I hate that too. It's okay to have feelings. It doesn't make you weak. Let's figure this out together. Fine. Only because you're good at this stuff. Let's try to come up with a happy scene. Maybe that will help us understand where your bad feelings are coming from. Well, I was happy with the way things were before we had to have that conversation yesterday. What part of the conversation made you upset? Was it Yuri being mean about the manga? Maybe. I doubt it, though. Because my friends and other people make fun of manga all the time, but they just brush it off and ignore them. But something about it really got me this time, and I hate that I'm letting that happen. Is it because it came from Yuri? No, why would that matter? Well, maybe. Actually, let me think about that one. I hate that she thinks she's so much better than me, just because she likes to pretend to be so sophisticated. Yeah, that's what it is. At least other people decide that they don't like me, or manga or whatever. But Yuri acts like she's too good to even give it a chance. I'm sorry. Everyone deserves a chance. Yeah, exactly! Would you give Yuri's books a chance? Ha! After this? Obviously not. What about before this? Well, I would until I got bored, which wouldn't take very long. But if you actually keep an open mind, then it's not hard to realize that a story can be deep and meaningful without being needlessly complicated. I see. But I like Yuri's books. Yeah, but you like manga more, right? Sayori shakes her head. I like them both. There isn't a more or less value I can apply. That's just not how my brain works. Either like it or don't. And I like these both things. I like them in different ways, but I like them both. The manga is really honest and fun, and easy to just let go with. And the fantasy has a lot to interpret and uncover. It's really rewarding to have some good quiet time together with it. But the most important thing is that both the manga and the fantasy are true to themselves. So I love them both. And I think there's room for both of them to be in the same club together. And I just feel like, maybe... Am I in the wrong... Is this self-love part 1? I feel like I did this wrong. I feel like maybe they have more in common than you would think. How do you get along with everyone so well? I always get into fights with people. Oh god, Atsuki, fucking preach. Like, first there was Monica, when I was new to the club. And then there was you, and now it's Yuri. And I'm always like, oh, that person is being such a jerk, and if they just realize that, then we could at least get along. But nobody else has this problem. Fucking preach. I just keep running away from the reality that everybody's just a jerk to me because nobody likes me. And I don't know why. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I hate it. Natsuki. Sayori puts a comforting hand on Natsuki's shoulder. You're a wonderful person. You deserve to be loved as much as everyone else. Everyone has different ways they like to communicate, you know? And sometimes that makes it harder for us to understand each other. I think that sometimes we get lucky and make friends who are really good at the same kinds of communication, and it feels like you magically connect with them. But other times, even if both people are really nice, it's easy for them to misunderstand each other, or get the communication wrong. It's something that Yuri struggles a lot with too. It can be really hard. It just takes a lot of reflection and self-awareness. And vulnerability. I'm bad at that one. Vulnerability. Always have to be the strongest. What do you mean? Tell me about that part of you. Tell me about your mother. Well, it sounds stupid, but I'm really used to people being mean to me. Like my friends, I guess my dad. I like when I don't get good grades or even stupid things like if my room isn't clean. So what am I gonna do? Cry about it? If I let myself get upset, that's just letting them win. I'm better than that. I'm better than all of them. I said to myself, referring to my high school and also grade school class mates. So things always have to be everyone else's fault. Yeah, I actually have a story. I'm not going to get into it because I'm doing this, but I have a story. Fucking in 5th grade, I got... Basically, I've been spiting people, like, almost my entire life. It's tiring, sometimes. It feels like something goes wrong and there's even a tiny hint that it might be my fault, then... I just get really angry and I find ways to blame everything else instead. Do you see yourself as better than Yuri? If I said that, then I would just sound really full of myself. No. Our thoughts and our feelings are two different things. Even if we don't like our feelings, we have to understand them if we want to learn more about themselves. If we want to learn more about them. That's a part of vulnerability, you know? Accepting that we have feelings that we don't like. I hate that. My feelings make me a bad person. Because my feelings just want to tell me that I'm so much better than her. She's a judgmental know-it-all who's stuck in her edgy phase, and that I'm just way above that garbage. But I'm terrible for feeling that way. You're not terrible. You are not your feelings. But you are not your feelings. Say that to yourself out loud. Fine. I am not my feelings. The way that I like to picture it is that those feelings are like your roommate. You live in the same house and you gotta see each other every day. And even if you can ignore each other most of the time, you're gonna run into each other every now and then. And it's gonna make you feel like poop. Thank you, Sayori. So the other option is to get to know one another. You can communicate and learn from each other. And maybe even help each other. Change for the better. Does that help you understand? How do you know so much about this stuff? Oh, years of depression, and also helping people with depression, and trying to come up with different analogies for depression. I refer to my depression often the same way. The voice in your head telling you all the terrible things about yourself, that you're terrible, everyone hates you. I like to imagine that as someone just you've never met across the street yelling those things at you. So, in my mind, that way I can be like, well, fuck you then. And, try and go on with my day. Even if it bothers me still, at least it's not, from me. A lot of people I know who have depression, they they don't like to, but they think that voice is them telling them those things, which is why it's so hard for them to ignore. And you know what? I can see that, because I was there once myself. But as soon as I started, I guess because I have more energy than a lot of other people with depression, because that is, literally depressing means less energy. But yeah, no, it's a real problem that people often think that the voice in their head is them telling themselves the things, when it really isn't. It's their depression telling them those things. That's why sometimes when I'm helping somebody, I ask, is that you or is that the depression talking? And they usually pause because they're just like, you're making me think. And then they say it's them, and I have to deal with that. But sometimes it helps. I just have a roommate that can be really hard to get along with. Called depression. Yeah. Depression? But you're like the happiest person I know. Anime characters. It's called a mask. It's about being anime characters. The person who fucking Dan Salvato and friends, they fucking make good characters who don't know how dynamic you can be. I am not my feelings. I want to be a good person like you. Aw, you little sweetheart. We're all good people. You and Yuri and Monica. And I think Yuri will eventually learn that about you. Natsuki remains silent, feeling a little overwhelmed. Despite Sayori's kind reassurance, a complicated mixture of pain and sadness seems to fill her, as though flowing from a wound inside her. Oh, that one snuck up on me. Was the result of her vulnerability? No, it wasn't as though she was inflicted a wound after becoming vulnerable. It was as though she began to rediscover an old wound, one that cannot simply be bandaged and left alone any longer. Oh, excuse me. That one I felt the pressure of as I was saying that sentence. Whew. All right. Now we're on to the other two. The one that the side story is about. Hey, we're in this place. I was wondering about this one because I saw this scene during the beginning bit. You alright? What are you doing all the way over here? I was looking for you. Please don't yell at me. Oh, no, she looks scared. Oh, I'm not gonna yell at you. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. It was unfair of me to put everyone on the spot like that. Next time I won't just try to jump in and solve everyone's problems. I guess it's a bad habit of mine. You're not mad at me. I thought you were the one mad at me. I was so awful yesterday. Yuri curls up, recalling the details of the argument. I can't even have a normal conversation without saying something wrong and making everyone upset. Hold on, that's not what happened at all. Let's talk about this, okay? Yuri pauses for a second. Hey, there's soccer tryouts. Yuri pauses for a second, then manages a nod. Monica takes a seat next to her on the staircase. I'm having a lot of negative thought patterns, and I can't get away from them. What kind of negative thought patterns? Like everyone hates me. Especially Natsuki. Aw, that's terrible. I don't think Natsuki hates you. How do you know? Well, because Monica thinks back to the time that she herself found herself in an altercation with Natsuki, and how the display of maturity from Monica was enough for Natsuki to reevaluate her own feelings as well. I think Natsuki is just naturally defensive. I think she acts mean when she feels the need to protect herself. Do you know she's really not a... but you know... Did you know? She's really not a bad person. In fact, I think she can be really thoughtful and considerate. She just, well, I guess the way it works is that she wants to receive some degree of kindness first before she feels comfortable returning it. Oh. But that means the burden is on me. And I don't know how to say things that make people like me. Every time I open my mouth, I just... Yuri shakes her head at herself and tugs on her hair. It's okay, Yuri. You don't need to beat yourself up. I think anyone would like you if they had the chance to get to know you. Well, unfortunately, the opposite is true. That's why I'm not talkative anymore in the first place. Because everyone used to think I was weird and talk about me behind my back. Directly behind my back, I could hear all the words. That's just what happens when I draw attention to myself. Natsuki even said she found it more respectable when people speak their mind. So I did, and then she hated me anyway. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. That'll happen. That was enough to confirm my fears. Yep. But Sayori and I like you, and we've gotten to know you a lot by now, right? Yuri doesn't seem to have a response. Hey, what do you think of Natsuki? I don't think about her. That's not what I meant, really. I just... I was just wondering if you had an opinion of her. I do. What is it? Natsuki seems to bring out the worst in me, and I feel really ashamed of it. I like to think of myself as a fairly sophisticated person. So for someone to just treat me like I'm inferior, despite my tastes, that's just the worst kind of insult coming from someone like her. What do you mean, like her? And it makes me think bad things about her. But everyone else seems to like her, so the only explanation is that it's me who's doing something wrong again. And my feelings about her are wrong. And I'm wrong to get upset over something so childish and inconsequential. No, Yuri. Feelings are never wrong. Well, they're not right. That's the thing. Feelings are never right or wrong, you know? They're just a state of being that we don't always have control over. That doesn't mean that they have to control us. I feel like that's something I learned around when I first started the club. We can hate ourselves for feeling a certain way about things. Or we can, just acknowledge that they exist and try to understand them better. I could never be mad at you for just feeling a certain way. It's about how you handle them. And I think working through feelings is a great opportunity for teamwork. Yuri wears a dejected expression. You make it sound so easy. You're so mature. And so good with people. I feel like such a child in comparison. Oh, Yuri. I'm far from perfect. You yourself disagree later on. Well, these are learned skills. They didn't come naturally to me either. It's really hard to, reflect on yourself and separate your feelings from your thoughts. I just want to be a good person. Well, I think it takes time. I think it takes a good person to get this far. That's not good enough. I want to be able to communicate it to her. Communicate what? How I feel. How it makes me feel frustrated and upset when she's so negative and dismissive of the things that mean so much to me. And how it reminds me of me. Yeah, I hate dealing with people that remind me of either who I am or who I used to be. Especially who I used to be, because I used to be a horrible human being. When I was a teenager, I'm not gonna get into it. There's no time. We're already approaching 20 minutes. But I just used to suck so badly, and I meet some people that remind me of who I used to be, and I'm like, stop being this way. It sucks. Stop sucking. Because I know what it's like to feel misunderstood and angry at everyone. I know that telling yourself you're better than everyone else is just a defense mechanism. We're just people. We're fragile and unstable. But I'm just tired of that getting in the way. I can't stand it when the peace is disturbed like this. Yeah, you can't focus on your reading when the peace is disturbed, right? Because the Literature Club should be happy for everyone. Monika looks at Yuri in adoration. That's adorable. I feel like Sayori must be rubbing off on me, because I really want to hug you right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. No, I mean... Well, if you wanted to, then I wouldn't really mind, so... Monika pulls Yuri into a short embrace. You're so gentle. And I love when you communicate your feelings. Excuse me. I feel lucky to get to see that side of you. I'm sure Natsuki will too. I'm going to write her a letter. Oh, a letter? What a great idea. Just because I'm not good at talking, especially under pressure. I always let my feelings get the best of me, and I forget to say all the important things, and I say things I don't mean. Well, I think a letter would be wonderful. Such a nice way to communicate. His face hardens with determination. People don't naturally gravitate towards me like they do for you and Sayori. My personality just isn't suited for that, and I wouldn't want it to be. But something I've learned is that friendships don't always just magically appear out of thin air. For instance, I never would have seen myself making friends with someone like Sayori. We're opposites in a lot of ways. But I'm friends with her because she put so much effort into understanding me so that we can get along. I think it was the same with you. You both gave me a lot of time and patience. And I wonder if she feels the same way. Natsuki? Yuri nods. I always thought if I wanted to make more friends, I had to be somebody that I'm not. That there's a type of person, or a magical formula I have to follow in order to make someone like me. And that's just like me to think that, always so occupied with myself that I fail to understand other people. Yuri shakes her head. Friendship happens when you think about the other person. When you offer time and effort to understand them and respect them and trust that they also want to be a good person. That's what I learned through my observation in the Literature Club. Observations? Monika is caught by surprise. Yuri's always kept to herself so much that it's so unusual to hear her suddenly talking about the club like this. But Yuri gently smiles to herself. You always let me listen to your thoughts about people. Sayori, too. And it makes me happy because I learn a lot of things. That's so sweet. I had no idea it meant that much to you. Monika never thought much about it, but in the past weeks, Yuri always seemed to be especially attentive when it came to the problems and concerns of others. Always wanting to listen and learn about her friends in the club. It's true, Sayori and Monika are more naturally comfortable with other people and can more easily work through situations in conflict. That doesn't make them better people. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses and the capacity to improve. And the first step towards improving oneself is reflection and self-awareness. It's something that Yuri never gave herself much credit for, but that Monika can recognize as an incredible trait. And with that, her confidence in the club is restored. A very shy girl with long, pretty hair is wandering the bustling lunchtime hallways, her fist pressed into her collarbone. When she finds the Literature Club's Literature Club president's classroom, she stands at the door, glancing all around her before peering inside. Monika is sitting and chatting with a group of unknown friends. Yeah, as expected, this is a bad idea after all. Suddenly, Monika glances towards the door, making the girl panic and duck out of sight. Before she can regain composure and decide for sure to leave, the classroom door gently opens. Yuri, what a surprise to see you during lunch. Yuri squeaks a response. Please help me. What? Is everything okay? Yuri shakes her head. I don't know how to write letters. Oh, thank goodness. I thought it was some kind of emergency. Monica briefly glanced over her shoulder at her other friends. You want some help? We can go find an empty classroom or something. Is that okay? I feel bad taking you away from your friends. It's totally fine, I promise. We weren't really doing anything. One sec. Monica crouches in the classroom, says something like, I gotta go, to her friends, and then grabs a pen off her desk before returning to Yuri. Okay, let's find somewhere quiet. Yuri nods and follows Monica as two of them set off. How are you today? Huh? Me? Well, yes. Oh gosh, sorry, I was just caught off guard. I'm doing well today. Just tired. I like how Monica uses well instead of good. Not that that's any better. I like that she has that attention to detail. Just tired. Never seem to get enough sleep during the week. How come? I don't know. I think I'm just easily distracted. I get really sucked into things and start neglecting the time. Yeah. Me too. I do that too. Hey, this classroom is empty. Let's go in here. After peering inside, Monica opens a classroom door and the two of them enter. It's an everyday classroom. Yuri's moment of relaxation ends. She watches as Monica pulls two chairs up to the same desk, then obeys as Monica beckons her to take a seat. Whew, let me take a drink here. My God, my throat. Okay. Alright, I think I'm better. 26 straight minutes of talking is not easy. She watches as Monica pulls two chairs from the same desk and obeys as Monica beckons her to take a seat. She stares down at the empty desk. You nervous? I don't want to do this. We don't have to. We can come up with something else. Yuri shakes her head. It's my chance to do something good. I need to take initiative. Gosh, you really must be determined. I know how hard it is to step out of your comfort zone. I'll be sure to encourage you. Yuri pushes through anxiety and grabs a handful of lined paper from her notebook. Then she picks up her pen. Oh my God, look at it. Look at them. Look at those two. Hey, you're left-handed. That's neat. Yeah. Now I don't have to worry about bumping your arm. Monica playfully rubs her shoulder against Yuri's. I thought Monica was left-handed this whole time. There's so many images of her holding crap in her left hand. I think it's actually on the main, the image that I used for the desktop. It's just Monica with a pen in her left hand. I thought she was left-handed. Yuri is, though. Sorry, I'm just being silly, I guess. Anyway, how about we start listing the different things you want to say to her? Yuri thinks. I feel embarrassed all of a sudden. Oh, it's okay. How about some of the things you said to me yesterday? But, never mind, I guess I'll try. She looks upset. Yuri thinks for a moment longer, then her tension evident. Also, she's not that much taller than Monica. Must be the legs, then. Because she's quite a bit taller than Monica otherwise. And she writes the word reflection. This is about my reflection on our behavior. The key question is why we act like this towards each other, but have been able to separately be friends with Sayori and Monica. That's me! Yes, it is. Don't interrupt. So, Yuri thinks. I've been able to befriend the two of you because you've taken the time to understand my needs and respect my interests. Same goes for Natsuki, too. We started off pretty hostile to each other because I was so worried about getting what I wanted. But she just wanted to be respected more than anything else. Once I stopped making it all about me, she was able to do the same. I want to do that, too. So what kinds of things do you want to do for her? Almost read that wrong. I want to do the same things for her that I like to receive. I like when people respond positively to things I talk about and not just brush me off. I like it when my feelings are taken seriously. And I like when you and Sayori trust that I want to be a good person, even when I'm not doing a good job at it. Let's write those things down. Okay. Yuri writes some things down. I think the most important thing to remember here is that Natsuki's feeling vulnerable. Or she's trying not to be. So we should make sure that the letter puts her first. It's hard when you're feeling hurt, but it never helps to just tell someone all the things that you're doing wrong. That they're doing wrong. I think first you have to make sure that they know you're ready to respect them and listen to them. And admit the things that you feel you could do better. I'm trying hard to read this. Also, we're at half an hour. And suddenly you ask what you would like in return. How does that sound for the structure? It could be 3 paragraphs, one for each of those points. I like that. My thoughts were so disorganized, I had no idea how to come up with any kind of structure. You're so amazing at these things. Oh, stop. You've done so much more than I have, you know? You spend so much time reflecting, being open-minded, that's the hardest thing for anyone to do. All I'm doing is helping you put it on a piece of paper. So I think you're the amazing one. It's fucking adorable, too. Monica gives Yuri's hand a quick squeeze. But we don't get to see that. But she lets go. She's caught by surprise when Yuri curls her fingers to hook Monica's hand in place. For a while, they sit there in silence, save for the occasional scratching of Yuri's pen against the paper. Yesterday, you told me something that I'm thinking about a lot. What was that? The thing about how feelings aren't right or wrong, and that they're just a state of being we need to come to terms with. It made me think about how a person's behavior isn't always just how they decide to be. It's also made up of their past experiences and their insecurities. I think that helps me see other people as actual people, rather than as insignificant side characters who are out to get me somehow. I've never met anyone who thinks that, but you know what? I've written characters like that. Is that how you feel about Natsuki? Yuri nods. But in reality, everyone always trying their best, and everyone wants to be happy. Monica peers... Well, look at that face of concentration. Monica peers at Yuri's paper, but to her surprise, Yuri pulls in closer, partially covering it with her arm. I have to be able to read it to help out, you know. It's okay. My thoughts are a lot more organized now, after being able to talk to you about it. That I'm actually putting it on paper, I realize I'd really prefer others not to read it. Yuri laughs softly to herself, a rare expression. I'm kind of glad to hear that, actually. I somehow keep finding ways to butt in this whole thing. I've done enough damage. It's very forced when I do the laughs. But also, been so wonderful talking about this. I mean, I always thought you were really smart, but Yuri smiles. I will always be terrible at these things. People are just so incomprehensible to me. I'll never get the hang of being one. Oh, man. Man, now Yuri's preaching. But listening to you so much has really helped me make sense of some things. So just don't call it damage, please. Monica gives Yuri a gentle smile. I can't believe I came to this club looking for fantasy geeks, and all I got was real friends who value me. Oh no, my heart. Is that a joke? Of course it is. I still can't tell with you. Sorry. No, I love it. People never, please never change. As you wish. Yuri glances at the clock. We're almost out of time. Will you be able to finish? Before the end of the day, probably. But I don't want to come to the club the same day that Natsuki reads it. I'm too shy. I can give it to her instead if you'd like. Yuri nods. As long as you promise not to read it. Of course, I promise. Thank you. Yuri exhales and the two stand up. I'll message you when it's ready. Monica nods. Good luck. I'm here if you need me. Yuri returns the nod, and the two depart. Oh my goodness. That was a long time. Hey! Oh no, she's falling. Ah. But yeah, no, right there. She's left hand. Look at that. Anyway, oh yeah, this is gonna be the letter. We got 3 more images. I'm not sure we're gonna see them all. And we finally got the last of that. Cool. Alright, alright. But that'll have to be for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, from Keywii, been great tuning yourself for a delightful day. I love you all. Goodbye. Hotkeys. Get yourself fixed.